What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman. Coming up on today's show, I want to go over what Shannon Sharpe had to say about the Vikings' primetime win versus the Indianapolis Colts, and then also what Chad Ochocinco had to say about Brian Flores, and also John Middlekauff, former NFL scout, gave a very cool opinion on the J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold, QB controversy. So I want to go over about what all these big-time talking media heads had to say about our favorite football team, and then also I'll obviously give you guys my thoughts as well. But before we dive into that, if you guys could hit that thumbs up button if you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to make the playoffs. Right now they have an 84% chance to do so. So if you guys want the good luck heading our Minnesota Vikings way, just hit that thumbs up icon. I put the goal as 500 likes. If you guys can help me out here, just hit that thumbs up button. It's a free, easy way to help support the show. But let's just dive into it. What did Shannon Sharpe had to say about the Vikings' big-time win over the Colts? I'll share it with you guys right now. So Shannon, he said the Minnesota Vikings stopped their two-game losing streak by winning with a score of 21-13 over the Colts. The Colts went with Joe Flacco and benched Anthony Richardson. Sam Darnold was 28-34 for 290 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and a fumble. Justin Jefferson continued his hot streak with 7 catches for a buck 137. Addison also made a great one-handed catch. And then Shannon set up Chad Ochocinco saying, "Hey, Chad, what was your big takeaways from this game?" Chad Ochocinco had to say this. He said they need to give the game ball to Brian Flores. All defense, all defense. They played extremely well for all 4 quarters. They played all 3 phases of the game extremely well. The defense smothered them. So Brian Flores, I would like to give the credit for the win tonight, even though offensively they did what they needed to do, but that defense was really, really good. And I totally agree with Ocho on this one. Like the Vikings defense, if you take away that scoop and score on the Sam Darnold when he got hit in the face mask, the Vikings defense played a hell of a game. I mean, only giving up 6 points, 229 total yards, 13 first downs, and this is the stat I love the most. 0 red zone possessions for the Colts offense today, and even their EPA was in the negative at negative .26. So the Vikings defense yesterday, they were good, and they, on an earlier show today, I said that, I am a little concerned about them getting pressure with just 4 guys. But I actually went back and watched the film. There's a couple big-time moments where it's the typical mug look for the Vikings. They got 7, 8 guys lined up, and the Vikings only brought 4. And, yes, they weren't able to, sack the quarterback, but they were able to force a pressure, specifically that Byron Murphy interception. I mean, that was just a beautifully designed play by Flores. Now, moving forward with the Vikings, like when you go up against better quarterbacks, like what we saw with, Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford the 2 weeks prior, how are you going to be able to, be as effective as you were against a guy like Flacco, against a guy like, C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy? And I think younger quarterbacks are going to struggle against the Vikings, which is why, like with the Bears, you still got to play them twice this season. I think Brian Flores is going to have a field day against Caleb Williams and that Bears offense. They aren't a well-coached team. Vikings will have a significant coaching advantage in that matchup. But it was great to see this defense just, really, really get back on track yesterday. As, obviously the last 2 weeks they have struggled. But, Shannon also had this to say about Flo. He says, one thing. When you play the Vikings, they are a pressure defense. They're going to heat you up. Brian Flores is going to heat you up now. Whatever you are doing, you better do it suddenly because you are not going to have that much time. He believes in his back end. He believes they can hold up. If you can't handle that pressure, you can't handle that defense. And that's the thing with the Vikings defense that makes them so special. And, I have faith in Flores and company. Like, I still think this is the top 5 unit in the National Football League. Even without Cashman yesterday, I mean, I just showed the numbers already, but, like, they were fantastic. Then you had Cashman back in there, which also Cashman is such a glue to that defense because I think Ivan Pace is okay at wearing the green dot, probably just good, but Cashman is great because of those last adjustments. Right before the ball gets snapped, Cashman is just an elite communicator. He can get his whole 11-man defense in position to, put themselves in the best position to succeed on that certain play. So once Cashman hopefully gets back this week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, that would just add a whole nother, weapon and a whole nother dynamic to this defense. But Shannon also made a very good point here. He said this about Sam Darnold. He says, now the problem is Sam Darnold can't take care of the football. If you play Detroit and turn the ball over 3 times, they will blow you out. You play the Lions and turn the ball over, and that game will be over by halftime. You are asking for problems. Now, I will give Shannon Sharpe a whole lot of credit on this one. This was a great point by Shannon. Like, the Colts offense was not good enough to make you pay for those turnovers. But a team like the Lions, they can 110% make you pay. Like, if the Vikings had that start in the first half yesterday versus Detroit, in week 18 in their own building, like, that game's probably 24-3 at halftime. Like, that's where, even though Sam Darnold, I think he's played well this season, but still those kind of WTF type of throws that he'll make every once in a while, like, that can't come up in these big-time spots against great teams. Because right now, I think the Vikings are a very, very good team. But if they want to take that next level to a great team, it's probably going to come down to the right arm of Sam Darnold and the brain of Sam Darnold if they want to take that next step. But I thought Shannon nailed it on the head with that one. The Vikings, they're a good team. But if you play the way you played last night against a great team, you will end up struggling and you will end up losing that game. But I want to ask you guys this. Speaking about Sam Darnold, I want you guys to grade his season so far. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F down below in the comment section. I'm going to make this a pinned comment on today's video, so if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play, and let me know your thoughts on Darnold's season thus far. Now, coming up next on the show, I do want to share with you guys what John Middlekauff had to say about the J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold conversation, even though literally earlier on today I said I'm done talking about it. But, hey, somebody else talked about it, so I want to give you guys my thoughts on that. But before we do so, I do want to give a massive, massive shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. If you guys download the PrizePicks app today and sign up today, you guys will get $50 instantly when you play $5. Best part is you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Now, PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value to your lineups. And PrizePicks, if you guys don't know, it's the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. And all you do, you pick more or less on two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. If you guys just want to add more juice to your viewing experience for a basketball or a football game, PrizePicks is the best way to do so. So sign up today, download the app, and plug in promo code CONS for $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, prizepicks.com/CONS. Plug in promo code CONS, and you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, this is what John Middlekauff had to say after the Vikings-Colts game. He says, I guess where I want to start with this is whenever you draft a guy and make him the QB of your team turns out to be really talented, you can have problems because then those guys go, I had to earn my job. Most positions, you have to go earn it, which is very true. And he said, this is why I give Kevin O'Connell a lot of credit for signing Darnold to a $10 million deal, and then he drafts a guy in the top 15. And he goes, he is our future. But he didn't go, we are going to have a QB competition. He just named Darnold the starter. He clearly wanted to take pressure off of his top pick. Obviously, JJ getting hurt made it a moot point, but clearly JJ couldn't beat out Sam Darnold. And when I heard this, I thought it was actually a very good point by Middlekauff here. And I want to say this to Vikings fans. Like, even though I said we're not going to talk about this whole JJ, versus Sam Darnold debate, but, let's just say Darnold, he takes the Vikes to the NFC Championship game, and, he's back on a 1 or 2 year deal. Like, I'm sure some fans will be freaking out like, oh, we need to get J.J. McCarthy in there, and I understand that. But a big reason why you took J.J. was he just turned 21 years old in January. He's going to turn 22 years old here in a couple of months. This is a guy where even if he has to sit 2-3 seasons, put some more muscle on his frame, get those mental reps with that whole VR headset he's going to be wearing connected to the GoPro on Sam Darnold's helmet. Like, just be patient with this process. I don't think it's something where it's like, oh, the Vikings need to start J.J. McCarthy next season. If we got to roll out with Darnold for next year, I do not think that will be worst case scenario whatsoever. And plus with the Vikings, all of the weapons they have, man, like whoever the quarterback is, you're going to somewhat see some elite production from that guy. But then you get into the whole debate. Is it Kevin O'Connell and the weapons, or is it Sam Darnold playing well? And again, we will talk about that a whole lot more this offseason. But Middlekauff had this to say about Jefferson. which I thought was awesome. He said, as you saw tonight, Justin Jefferson is by far, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the NFL. If you gave every coach and GM and draft pick and you said you can have one wide receiver in the NFL, they would all take Jefferson. Jordan Addison is an excellent number 2 wide receiver. Aaron Jones is a receiver in a running back body. These guys are built to win now. And I thought that was another good point. Like the Vikings' weapons, not only do I think they're the best in the NFL, but they're all starting to enter their prime. Like Jefferson, I mean, man, he looks like the most complete wide receiver I have seen in a very, very long time. Like, he is the best deep crossing route receiver in the league. He's the best in-breaking route receiver. I think he's the best fade route wide receiver in the National Football League. He can run a countless number of different routes at a very, very high level, and we see it over and over again. All the attention goes to him on every single play, and now we see Addison starting to get open more. And then you add T.J. Hawkinson into that fold. Like, truly, the Vikings are starting to remind me of the Niners from a couple years ago, when they had a QB on a cheap deal, and they also were able to, get some solid quarterback play out of a guy who doesn't have a big cap hit, like a guy like Sam Darnold. But Middlekauff, he also talked about the Vikings' chances to make the playoffs. He said this: they're probably not going to win the division. I think we would all take the Lions. But this is a playoff team, and this is one of those teams you would not feel comfortable playing if you were the Atlanta Falcons. Excellent defensive coordinator, excellent offensive head coach, QB, playing at a high level, and obviously a lot of weapons. So the Vikings' chances right now sit at 84% to make the playoffs, 19% to win the division. And I think that Week 18 game, I've been saying it for about a month now, that might not only have NFC North, champion implications, but it also could have number 1 seed in the NFC North implications. And this is how the division shakes out after Week 9 of the NFL year. Lions, obviously number 1 in the division at 7-1, and now I'm just looking back at that. I'm like, man, imagine if Jake Bates just misses a kick. Vikes are 7-1, Lions are 6-2. We have the tiebreaker. Like, man, we would be really sitting pretty here, where we would have a chance to literally just win 2 home playoff games, and we are in the Super Bowl. But obviously, that's not what ended up happening. Vikings, if they want to win this division, they're gonna have to go to Detroit and get a big-time win in Week 18. But how do you hope your chances there? You got to start stacking wins, because these are the next 5 games. Honestly, I think the Vikings should win all 5 of these. Like, I know it's going to be hard. Obviously, it's tough to stack wins in the NFL like that. But in Jacksonville, that should be a win. You're 5-point favorites. You're probably going to be 7-point favorites in Tennessee. The Chicago Bears, I think that's a terrible matchup for Chicago. That should be a win. Then you're back at home versus the Cardinals, Falcons, and actually the Bears again in Week 15. Then you travel to Seattle in Week 16. You're going to be favored and possibly heavy favorites in each one of those games. So, I know it may sound crazy, but I think the Vikes, they could possibly be a 13-win wild card team, where the Lions go 14-3, Vikes go 13-4, and the Lions just have obviously the edge by a game, and then the Vikes would probably be the 5 seed playing the 4 seed in the wild card round. Then let's just say you win that game, then you could have a divisional round game versus the Detroit Lions with a chance to go to the NFC Championship game. But I think the Vikes, they're going to go 13-4, 12-5 then the season. But you guys let me know. Predict the Vikings record for me for the rest of the year. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And also, guys, I am on Twitter. That's a handle right there. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.